Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Doorstep History, coming once again from the Coffin Works in Birmingham's Jewellery Quarter.
Now, first today, we're returning to the First World War, and of course this summer is the centenary of the Battle of the Somme, and many people will be interested in that, going across to look at the battlefields and find out places where relatives, etc., and family members perhaps lost their lives. Now, it'll be an experience for many people to visit it for the first time. So we've been to have a look at a few places on the Western Front which people might like to visit, and places where people might like to stay. Yeah. And we found a brilliant place. It's a place called Ocean Villiers, better known as Ocean Villas, which has got fantastic accommodation and also a museum attached to it.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Can hope for more.
Let's have a look. So Avril Williams owns Ocean Villas. So tell us a little bit about the history of the place.
Well, when I bought the property, it was just a farmhouse and dilapidated. And as we started to develop it, we discovered the cellar with graffiti in. And as you saw, it's got the Royal Warwicks. They were there. And I started with a one room, and then two, and then three, and then four. And eventually I could afford to do the tea room. And suddenly, you buy over the other side because people's generosity. And we bought a collection, which meant that I could then do a centre. And what I'm really aiming to do is a learning centre, so that children will always be able to come and learn about the First World War. I don't really advertise except for people that do what you're doing. So we get repeat business, and then you're doing something right. The first year was the hardest because you never know if you're doing it correctly or not. And then when they return, you realise that they must enjoy the company. The biggest thing that I did was putting people together for dinners. It meant that they had to share their knowledge, and I'm pretty good at just sitting there and bringing people out, and then I can move away and let them go. So it's like having a private party every night with different clients, and you'll get people that want to come when other people they know are coming, so you get the same groups, and then it's easy for me because I know that I don't have to put people together or join them. It's just a nice social scene.
So is business picking up now with the centenary?
It started last year. This time last year, we couldn't believe it. War hadn't even started and we were getting more and more people. But that's due to the publicity in England and the fact that you can go on internet and research your loved ones and realise that you were involved in the war, although you didn't realise before. So more historians are coming out and researching for books and different things like that. But I think the general public have got more awareness of the destruction of the Great War.
What about local people? What do they think of
well, the locals
people coming across?
Yeah, well, the locals are pretty good. They didn't think I'd ever get going, and now they really are getting involved. We're doing more about the French in Ocean Villas as well, which is interesting. So they are gradually getting more interested. The sad thing is we have more Belgian people in Ocean Villas than French. Because after the two wars, more Belgians came down to take over the farms. And I think this is the biggest problem, is it's not their history.
This house, like many others in the village, has a fascinating tale to tell beneath the house. Let's go into the depths of the cellar.
When the Germans swept through Ocean Villas in September 1914, it was the French from the Loire Valley that came up with the civilians, pushed the Germans back to Beaumont-Hamel, where, as we know, the Germans dug in deep. So Auchanville became a redoubt, an underground fortress for the French, using most of the cellars. So they put trenches at the back of all the houses, linking up the cellars. If we were in a straight row, they'd have gone straight through, but because they're separated, you have trenches at the back, linking up the cellars, and these communication trenches took you from Maye to the front line, 4 miles. That's as far as a shell would go, so you always have to have trenches. They put a fortified trench going around the outside of the village, and just like a fortress, they brought it up, not down, using the hedgerows, the trees, and any material they could find. They also maintained and looked after the 3 firing trenches in front of Beaumont Hamel. So they were here for a whole year until the Brits came in July 1915. They came in, it was the second Mons. They removed all families out of the village because by now it's a war zone. They redug all the trenches, and as the houses are coming down, they put bricks at the bottom of the trenches because by now they realised the problems with Somme mud. They took away that staircase straight out behind the cellar wall, always 2 points of exit, just in case you don't want to be entombed down here. Blocked off the 2 windows facing that way because we're only 800 yards of the German, as the crow flies, when they attacked Beaumont Hamel on the 1st of July. If you can imagine the casualties of that evening, of those men trying to get back to facilities just weren't there. They hadn't envisaged so many casualties. They transformed this part of the cellar by putting this tin across here. You can see where it was attached to the wall. With the shelling, it stopped the dust falling onto the table. You can see the smoke damage. It became a flue for a fire. They would have had to have poured water to sterilise or just to make a cup of tea. Doctors, surgeons were kept in comparative safety behind the lines, and so it had to be orderlies. And then apart from shrapnel, shrapnables and pieces of bullets, we found buttons of all types, money of all types, a crucifix St. Christopher, and a New Zealand Canterbury Cap badge. So they designated this cellar, as I said, as a stretcher bearer's post, and they left graffiti, and that's how we know what it was used for. So I will go through the graffiti for you. So this one here is Jim Lane, 2nd Royal Fusilier. He survived the war. Underneath, Private H. Weaver, 3076 Company, S bearer, stretcher bearer, 2nd Mons. He survived the war, and I got a photograph of him upstairs. He became a pigeon fancier, came back, and he won. This is the 11th Division, if you're familiar with Edmund, London. He was stationed at Auchanville, at Engerbommer. He walks through Aston Villas, a corruption of Auchanville. He stops at Sam's abode, the sentry box in the front garden, but Sam's not there as he takes in the scenery. The privet hedge still got it, rank smell of stinging nettles, green shutters of this house. Up here we've got EM, underneath BV Hall 2298. Now BV Hall was a stretcher bearer. He survived Gallipoli, the first day of the Somme, went to Goudecourt, lost on the 27th of October 1916, so his name is on Tietval Memorial. This one here is R. Matthews, B Company, 8th Royal Irish Rifles. Now he was at Tietval on the 1st of July where he was injured. He walked 8 miles back to Forceville, first casualty clearing station for the walking wounded, where he bled to death on the 2nd of July. This is W. Dovey. I've got no idea who he is, but I'm convinced he's responsible for this memorial to James Crozier, because this is the design on James's signet ring that went back to his mother. James was in the 9th Royal Irish Rifles, and they were part of the 36th Division, holding this line. In January, February, when James, he was just 18 when he was shell-shocked, and he ran. He went 25 miles 4 days later, picked up acting strangely. He was just shaking. By this time, he had no identification on him, classed a deserter, shot at dawn. We know for a fact that James was brought back to his unit and held in an Aston Villa's farmhouse cellar. And because this is a stretcher bearer's post, it's logical. He was held here because there wasn't many cellars this large or in 2. And it was also manned by stretcher bearers. So after 2 weeks of court-martial, he was taken to Maye, where he was hung at the back on a hook, and he hung like a piece of meat, and that was the words of his namesake, Colonel Crozier, who'd promised his mother he would look after him. And he was shot not by the men. They wouldn't shoot an 18-year-old for being frightened. They always aimed high and allowed the officer in charge to shoot him in the head. 7:05, 27th February, witnessed by all the regiment. And I think this caring stretcher bearer had the terrible job of not only sending all of James's personal items back to his mother, but a letter saying killed in action, not shot at dawn. So who would know? Only the men that witnessed it, and his mother, who wouldn't have received a pension. So he practiced here, up here, up here. He picked the most prominent place.
Welcome back to Doorstep History, and now we delve into the Aston Villa's museum, and it didn't take us long to find a connection with the West Midlands. So this is the impressive collection that one man has built up over a period of almost 80 years. Just tell us a little bit about the exhibition.
So this is one man's collection. He's a gentleman called Andre Quayo.
So he's a local man?
He's a local man that comes from our house, and he's collected all his life. He's 85 now, so this is his passion.
So why did you want to buy it?
Mainly to save it, so it didn't get split up, so it could stay in one place and whole, really. So
good. So people that stay at Aston Villas, they've got the opportunity to come across and get out of there?
Yes, yeah. So we do open it up for the public, and we get more and more people to come and see it. So that's quite nice.
You actively encourage people to come and look at it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you have the Maxim machine gun that was found in the Mairie of Goncourt, that was donated to Andre. Then you have a couple of German mortars, Minenwerfer and the Grattenwerfer.
So would they have just been dug up in the field? Somebody just come across them, would they?
No, they've probably been donated to Andre for his collection. I don't think they were dug up, but they were probably found in the area, either in an attic or barn or.
Okay, I suppose you don't like to talk about money in terms of how much they
not really
would cost, but it's obviously an impressive collection.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
And the one over there, it's like breastplate there, is it?
Yeah, that was for the German snipers' reinforced armour. Nearly medieval when you think about it. But,
it does look a bit medieval.
They're extremely heavy. I don't think they would run very far with them on.
This one's called the toffee apple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously because of its shape.
Yes, it does look like a toffee apple. It did get called plum pudding as well. So this is a British mortar, very commonly used by the Allies. They weren't very efficient, to be honest. Not very accurate.
And it's not difficult to find things that were made in Birmingham. For instance, these wire cutters were made at Pew's, a factory on Tilton Road, right next door to the Blues Ground. This is Terry once again with something that's made in Birmingham.
Yes, the BSI plant at Smallheath. That's the only place that was made.
So these are called Lewis guns?
The Lewis machine gun, yeah.
So whereabouts in Birmingham were these made?
Oh, Smallheath, at the BSI plant, yeah.
BSA, yeah.
Yeah.
So these were made before the war, but then production increased dramatically, didn't it?
Pre-war, there was about 50 of these a week. But once the war started, it went up. The maximum output was about 2,000 a week of these.
And a lot of these would have been made by women workers as well, wouldn't they? Because the men would have gone off to fight.
Yeah, women's munition workers, yeah. The pannier that you can see down there held 47 rounds of ammunition, and the actual housing for the bullets, the pannier, were outsourced, and a lot of small Birmingham firms made them for the BSA. One particular firm that made them was Rudge Bicycle Works in Tysley. A lot of the jewellery firms in Birmingham turned over to making small little articles for infuses and clips and etc.
These pistols were made by the famous Birmingham firm of Webley and Scott Limited. And another household name was that of Joseph Lucas, a major employer, people in Birmingham.
It's like a traffic light.
Okay.
So you put that in. These are like, that's it. It's only different ones. I don't know whether it's different lenses for the different levels of sunshine, but these are what I'm after at the moment, because the one I've got. And what would be in there? Through there.
So is that candle or electric?
No, electric. What you would have in there? See where the pins are there?
Yes. Sir.
There's like an holder for a lamp to go in.
Okay.
So and it just goes in like a torch lamp. It's a special lamp.
Isn't it fantastic to find that the people of Birmingham made such a contribution to the war effort? A new parish council has been set up in Sutton Coldfield. The Royal Borough lost its independent status to Birmingham in the local government reorganisation in 1974. The handback of the mayoral regalia was completed in a ceremony at Birmingham Council House. A new decision-making town council will be elected in May. So what difference do you think this will make to the people of Sutton Coldfield?
Well, I think for a start it will return some civic pride to the town. In 1974 Sutton Coldfield became part of Birmingham as part of a boundary review, at which time the town council was subsumed. All the mayoral regalia etc. was handed to Birmingham for safekeeping. Today sees that returned. Much of what will happen now will be preparation work for the real town council. The councillors will be elected on the 5th of May and the first meeting will be on the 15th of May, and from then onwards they can begin to make what I would call decisions about things which people will really notice in the town.
Now from Ocean Villiers to Aston Villa, and whilst suffering one of their worst seasons in their history, Villa fans have at least kept a keen eye on their history. Planned walkouts on 74 minutes hark back to the day in 1874 when Villa came into existence. To mark their 140th birthday a few years ago, they unveiled a lamp similar to the one under which a group of people met to form the club.
First, the man who scored both goals in the 1957 FA Cup final win over Manchester United, the club's 7th success in the competition. Let's hear it for Peter McFarland. He never tires of talking about those goals either, do you, Peter? Next, another Villa legend in every sense of the phrase, league title, European Cup winner and past master, Gordon Cowan. Here it is then, our founding lamp to mark the beginning of Aston Villa Football Club in 1874. There are 4 brass plates on the plinth below telling the story of the foundation of the club, from the initial meeting on the way back from a rugby match through to the details of the first game, including our first team lineup and information about where the matches were played before the club moved its home to Villa Park, a place where parents could stand to explain the club's heritage and the meaning behind it to their children.
Sadly, today's fans are taking a dim view of the current state of affairs, both on and off the pitch. Children of Blue Orange's Youth Theatre have devised a drama based on the jewellery quarter in the First World War.
So we've got our first performance next week and a performance the week after, and the groups are doing something we've called Trail. So we've got 2 groups performing at the theatre, we've got a group performing at the Pen Museum, one at the Museum of the Jewellery Quarter, and then the senior group who you've been chatting to today, they're going to be at St Paul's Church as well. So the audience will actually walk round the Jewellery Quarter and do a trail of the area as they learn about the areas sort of past during World War I.
Yeah, I really enjoy history, so I thought it'd be really interesting. And I didn't know about the jewellery quarters sort of past. I didn't know anything about the whistle factory, and I thought it was really cool that somewhere in Birmingham did so much for the war.
Now my father, Joseph Hudson, a toolmaker, he trained here in Birmingham. He made various products including corkscrews, stuff boxes and, of course, whistles. One day he came across an advert from the London Metropolitan Police. They were looking for an idea to replace the cumbersome policeman's rattle. My father, yes, my father had the idea that a whistle, when blown, could be heard for miles. It then led to a contract with the police in 1884, and Hudson & Co. became the largest whistle manufacturer for the British Empire. Today, of course, we supply these whistles to the army, and every regiment uses a Hudson whistle to signal their men going over the top.
Well, that's about all the time that we have for today.
Hope you've enjoyed the programme as much as we have. We've certainly enjoyed making it, and we hope you'll join us next week.
Goodbye and thanks for watching.
Ta-da.